Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to use the Neo4j driver for Node.js. Alright, so if you don't know what Neo4j is, it's a graph database, and I have a pretty decent video on it called Neo4j Graph Database and Cipher. So if you want to check that out, it's about 40 minutes long, and I go over what a graph database is, I show you how to install it in Windows, and how to get a simple database up and running, much like this one. Alright, so right now I'm in Neo4j browser, and I just created some nodes, some movie nodes, actors, and directors, and just added some really simple relationships between them. So for example, we have Al Pacino right here, which is an actor node, and we have some movie nodes that he has a relationship to using the acted in relationship. Alright, and then we have some directors. You'll see right here we have Francis Ford Coppola, and he has a directed relationship with the movie The Godfather. Alright, and then we also have Robert De Niro, which is another actor related to the Godfather movie with the acted in relationship. Alright, so I'm not going to go over this stuff too much. I just want to show you how to use the driver. We're not going to create an in-depth application. I just want to get an Express, Node.js and Express server set up and implement the driver and interact with the database. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to where I want to create my application, which is going to be in my C drive and then projects, and I'm going to create a new folder, and let's call this Neo Movies. Okay, now I want to open my command line as administrator. Okay, and then we're going to go to that folder. Alright, now what I want to do is generate a package.json file. To do that, I can run npm init. And if you don't have Node.js installed in npm, you just want to go to nodejs.org. Go ahead and download it and install it, and you should be all set. Alright, so let's go ahead and just click enter here. For the entry point, I'm going to do app.js. The rest is fine. Okay, so that should have created a package.json file. I'm going to go ahead and open my editor. And let's see, I want a new window. And I'm using Visual Studio Code, which is a nice free editor if you want to use that, or whatever you like. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and open folder, and I want to open Neo Movies. And you can see we have a package.json file. Alright, next thing we're going to do is set up our dependencies. So let's go right here and say dependencies. Okay, we're going to be using Express. We use Express for our routes and things like that. We want the latest version. We also want body parser. Okay, we're going to be using EJS for our template, which is embedded JavaScript. And for that, I'm going to say version 2.4.2, and we're also going to use Morgan, which is a logger, and then finally we need the Neo4j driver, which is going to be Neo4j-driver. We'll get the latest version. Alright, so those are our dependencies. Let's go ahead and save that and go back into the command prompt, and we're going to run npm install. Okay, that'll get all those dependencies set up. Alright, so now that that's set up, what we're going to do is create an app.js file. Okay, and let's add Express. We're also going to add path, which is a core module, and logger, which is Morgan, and body parser, okay. We'll add the Neo4j driver after the server's set up. All right, so now we're going to initialize our app with Express. Okay, we also want to set up the view engine. So for that, we're going to do app.set views, and we're going to use path.join here. What we're doing here is just saying that we want to use a folder called views to hold our views. All right, then we need to set the engine. So view engine is going to be EJS. All right, now we get some other middleware that we want to add here. Let me just grab that real quick. Just your standard middleware for body parser. This line here, we're saying that our public folder is going to be a folder called public, all right, or a static folder. So I don't think that we'll need that, but I mean, it's good to have just in case you want to use Bootstrap or jQuery, something like that, images, something where you need a static folder. All right, now let's see. We want to. What do we want to do? We want to listen on a port here, so we're going to say app.listen, and let's do port 3000, and then we'll just do a console.log. All right, and then we just want to export. There we go. All right, so the server should now run. Let's save that, and we're going to go back over here and say node app, and you can see that it's running on port 3000. So if we go to localhost 3000, okay, so the server's running, but we're getting this message cannot get slash, and that's because we don't have a route set up for slash, which is the home page. All right, so let's go right here and say app.get, and we'll put in a slash and then a function. Okay, that function is going to get a request and response, and all we're going to do is say res.send, and we'll say it works. All right, now if I go and I reload, we have no change, and that's because we need to restart the server. Now, if you don't want to have to keep restarting it, what you can do is you can install Node Mon. So to do that, we can say Npm Install Node Mon, and you want to add -G for global. That'll make it so that you can use it from anywhere. Alright, so once that's done, we should be able to just say Node Mon, and that'll just kind of watch it for us. So if we reload, we get it works. Alright, so now that that's up and running, I'm just going to make this smaller. Alright, so now that that's up and running, what I'm going to do is implement the driver. So let's go right up here and create a variable called Neo4j, and we're going to set that to require Neo4j -driver. Okay, so once we have that, we need to, let's go right above where our route is and create a variable called driver, and this is where we can connect to Neo4j. Now we connect using the Bolt protocol, which is, I believe it was new to version 3.0. of Neo4j. So to do that, we're going to say Neo4j dot driver, and in here we're going to pass in bolt colon / / local host, and let's see, next parameter is going to be your authentication for your Neo4j server. So we can say Neo4j dot auth dot basic, and then we're going to pass in the username, which is Neo4j for me, and for you if you didn't change it, and then whatever you made your password. Alright, and that should allow you to connect. Okay, then after that we need to create a session variable. So that's going to be set to driver.session. Alright. Oh, one thing I did forget is up here where we require Neo4j driver, we actually want to add .v1. Alright, at least at this time we need to do that. Okay, so now we should be able to start making queries. Alright, so now let me just bring over a page from the documentation here. Alright, so we've done this, and this. So now to run a query, what we need to do is use that session variable and then use run, the run method. You can see here they're creating a person node. I don't want to create anything just yet, I just want to fetch some data. So let's go into our route here, our home route, and we'll say session dot run, and then after that will be dot then. Let me just check this out. So then, and then catch. That's what will catch any errors. Alright, so let's go into run, and I'm going to put in query, we'll say match. Let's get some movies, so we'll say n movie, and then we're going to return n limit 25. Alright, so that's just, the query is as simple as that. Now what we need to do is add a function, callback function in here, and that's going to take a result, and then we should be able to loop through that result by saying result.records.forEach. Alright, and then inside here we'll have a function, and that's going to take a parameter called record, and then let's just do console.log record. Alright, so before we run that, let's just go down to our catch and put in function. It's going to take an error, and we're just going to console log the error if there is any. Alright, so we'll save it, and then let's go to our console, and let's see, what's this? No such file or directory. Huh. Not sure what that means. Let's restart this. Okay, so it looks like it's working. Now, what we want is in fields, this underscore fields, you can see there's an object. We want the properties object. So let's go right here and we'll say console log record dot underscore fields 0 dot properties. Let's try that. And there we go. So you can see we're fetching the movies. We're getting the year and the title. Alright, and if we wanted to change this query, let's say actor, reload, and there we get the actors. if we want, we could just take off the label completely if we want to get all nodes. And there we go. We're getting movies, actors, and directors. All right, so we know the driver is installed and set up correctly. Now you probably don't want to just console log this stuff. You want to bring it into your application. All right, so we're going to have to render a view for that. So let's go down to where we have res send, and let's see. We don't even excuse me. We don't even want this down here anyway. We want this stuff to happen up in the then callback. All right, so let's go right after the for each, which ends right here. So we'll go right here and say res.render, and let's see, let's render index. Okay, save that, and then we need to create a folder called views, and inside there we're going to create a file called index.ejs, and let's put a heading in here. We'll say movies, save it, make sure that works. Alright, and then what we want to do is the way that it's constructed, your results, is a little weird. So what I'm going to do is I want to create a new object with the movies in it. All right, or an array. So let's go right under .then and create a new variable. We'll call it movie array and set that for now just to an empty array. All right, and then down here in the for each, what we want to do is we want to add to that array. Okay, through each iteration we want to add each movie. So we'll say movie array dot push, and let's pass in an object. All right, now we can actually get the ID using record dot underscore fields 0 dot identity, identity dot low, and that'll give us the actual ID. All right, and then we want the name. So what I'm going to do is copy this right here, or cut it, and then just get rid of that. And let's see, title, and then we'll just say dot title. And I actually want to change this back to movie. All right, and then we also want the year. So for that, we'll grab this, paste that in, dot year. All right, so we're constructing this array of movies. And then what we want to do is we want to pass that array into our view. So let's go right here, and we'll say movies is going to equal movie array. All right, so we'll save that, and then let's go into our view, and we're going to use EJS syntax, which is less than %, and then we'll say movies dot for each, and in this for each goes a function. Okay, and let's pass in what we want to use as a variable. We'll use movie, and we need to make sure we end both of these lines. All right, and then we should have access to each movie. So let's go ahead and just let's do a UL here, and then inside here we'll have LIs. And we should be able to say movie dot title, hopefully. Okay, let's save that and reload, and there we go. We're bringing in all the movies from Neo4j. Now let's say we want to get the actors as well. If we were going to do that, let's go back to app.js, and we're going to have to nest our run calls, our session runs. So let's go down to where we have our view and start. I'm going to say session dot run. Okay, and then let's see, in here we'll say match an actor, and then return and limit 25. Okay, and then in the then we're going to have a function, and we're going to get the result. Now for this I'm going to use result2, just because, I mean, we probably could use result even though we used it up here, but just to kind of so it's not so confusing, we'll use result2. Alright, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to create an array. So this one will be actor array. And then we can take result2 and say dot records dot for each. And then I'm just going to copy what we have right here and put that here. Okay, except we want to change this to actor array. And we don't want a year or a title. I'm going to change title to name. Okay, and then what we'll do is I'm going to take the render right here and cut that out and put that up here right under the for each. Alright, and then we should be able to also pass along actors. Alright, so let's save that and then go back to our view, and let's see, I'm going to copy this whole thing. Okay, we'll change that to actors, and we're going to do actors dot for each, and this will be actor dot name. Alright, so now we're getting the movies and the actors. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is I want to be able to add movies from our application. So let's go right above here and let's put a form. Actually, we'll just have, oh, that's fine. We'll put a label. I don't care about this looking good. You guys can use Bootstrap or something to make it look a little better, but I'm just going to focus on the functionality, so it's not going to be very pretty. Alright, so we'll say movie name. We'll give it a type of text and a name of name. Actually, let's do movie name. Okay, then we'll put a line break, and we're also going to want the year. Then we want a submit button. Okay, let's look at that. Okay, it doesn't look very good, but that's alright. let's actually put a line break here and here. Alright, so in the form tag we want to add a method of post. It's going to be a post request, and the action we'll say /movie/add. Alright, so now we want to go on the other side and create that route. So let's go to app.js, and we'll go down here and say app.post. Okay, that's going to take a request and response. And let's see, what do we need to do? We need to grab the values that are in the form field. So let's say var name equals request.body.movie name. And same with the year. Okay, just to test it out, let's do console.log. I'll say name. And then we're just going to do a redirect. We'll say res.redirect to the home page. Alright, so let's see if that works. Okay, so let's just say test. Cannot post movie add. Oh, I didn't put the route. Okay, let's take a look at the console, and we get test. So we know that it's grabbing that input. So what we want to do now is the same thing. We need to have a session with the run method. So what I'll do is just, I'm not going to copy it, I'll just retype it. So session dot run okay, so in here let's do create and this is going to be a movie. So create n movie, and let's put in the title, and we're going to put a placeholder here. We'll just say title param. Okay, you don't want to put you don't want to put it directly in. And let's put a comma, and then we'll say, what else is it? Year param. And then we're going to return, we'll return n dot title. Alright, and then over here we're going to need another parameter, and we'll say title param is going to equal the movie. Oh, I put name, didn't I? Yeah, you know what, I'm going to change this to title. I'm going to do it here and back in the view. Right here. Actually, I'm going to get rid of movie. So it'll just be title and year, just to try to avoid confusion. Alright, and then down here we'll just change that to title, year. Alright, and then over here that can just be title. Alright, and we also want the year param, so we're going to put a comma there. Alright, so that's our query now, and then we need our function function takes a result, and we don't need to really do anything here. I'm just going to redirect. Okay, and then we just want to close the session with session.close. Alright, let's go ahead and save it, and let's reload, and let's put Independence Day 2016, submit, and there it is, Independence Day. If we reload, it's still there, and if we go to our Neo4j browser, we should see it as well. So let's reload and click on this asterisk over here, and there it is, Independence Day. You can see it has its year too. Alright, so we can now read data from our Neo4j database, and we can add data. Alright, and as you probably expect, you can do the same exact thing with actors and directors. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's add the actors form. So what I'll do, let's put a heading up here. Change these to H3s. Okay, and then let's copy this form, and this will be add actor. We'll have it go to /actor/add. And I think they just have a name property, so we don't need this. Alright, so there's our actor form. Let's go ahead and go to app.js. And we're going to do the same kind of thing. I'm just going to copy this. Okay, we want to get the name. And let's change this query to create. If you don't understand these queries at all, then I would suggest watching the other Neo4j video that I have, because that'll explain all of this. Change this. Okay, we don't need the year. And then over here, let's return the name. Get rid of that. Alright, so that should do it. Let's save it. And let's reload. We'll add an actor here. Let's say Jeff Goldblum. Submit. And there we go. So we can now add movies and actors. Now, obviously, Neo4j and graph databases they're the best when you're working with data that's related to each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another form to add an actor to a movie. Alright, so let's go ahead and go to our view, and I'm going to just copy this. Let's say add actor to movie, and that's going to go to movie/actor/add. Okay, so we want to add the movie. We're not going to need the year, but we are going to need the actor name. Alright, so now let's go to app.js. And I'm just going to copy this. Hope this isn't getting too confusing. And what was the route? I think it was movie slash actor slash add. And then we want to get both the title of the movie and the name of the actor. Okay, now this is going to be a little different. We're adding a relationship. So let's totally clear this out, this query. Okay, so we know we're going to have a name and title. So we can add those. And then for the query, we're going to do match. Okay, so match a actor. And we want the name. That's going to be set to name param. Alright, and then we're going to put a comma here, and then another set of parentheses, and then B movie. That's also going to have a title, which will be title param. Alright, and then we need to go right here and do merge. So we want to say merge A, and it's going to have a relationship of acted in to B. Alright, and then we're just going to return A, B. Alright, so that's how we can add a relationship. Alright, so hopefully that works. Let's go ahead and save it. Alright, now what I want to do is I want to add Jeff Goldblum to Independence Day. Because if we look at the graph right now, they shouldn't be related. Okay, so you can see right here, okay, there's no relationship. So let's go ahead and try to add that. So movie, Independence Day, actor, Jeff Goldblum, submit. And then if we go back to our graph, no, that didn't work. Let's see what the console says. Name param not defined. Not defined. Oh, I didn't put curly braces around this. That should be, yeah, like that. Same thing here. You guys probably noticed that. Alright, let's try it again. Okay. And there we go. Okay, so you can see now we have an acted in relationship between Jeff Goldblum and Independence Day. Alright, so we can now read data, we can add it, and we can also add relationships. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and stop here now that you can see how this works, how you can use the Neo4j driver and write queries. I would suggest that you keep going and maybe make it so that you can click on one of these movies. It'll take you to a page and list all the actors. I might do that in the future, I'm not sure. If you guys want me to do that, let me know in the comment section. But that's going to be it for now. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.